Hi there, and welcome to my channel today. Today I'm going to walk you through the basics of jelly printing, how to get started. I've been getting a few questions in my community about what supplies to use and how to get started, and they're not really sure. So I'm just going to walk you through a very simple process today and just show you how you can actually make your own jelly prints. So one thing I want you to think about when you're getting started is why you're actually making the jelly prints because everybody has a different use for them. I use them for collage, and other people actually frame their jelly prints. So it's just something you want to keep in the back of your mind as you're creating. And it can change from session to session, but it's something to think about as you are creating it so that you know what kind of objects you want to put in it, what kind of colors you want to use. It can all work together when you have a very clear purpose for it. So what I'm going to do is just go through a basic list of things you will need to get started. So obviously, we are going to use a jelly plate. Now they come in a lot of different sizes. This one is 5 by 7. So it comes in this little kind of plastic container, and then it has two plastic sheets on it. And then you can kind of see it's just a wobbly little gel plate. So this is the basis of what we're going to work with today. After you figure out what size you like, I like this size because of the papers that it creates and it's not too big and I can manage it. But it does come in like 8 by 10, and I think it even comes bigger than that. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're getting started. Then obviously you're going to need some brayers or a brayer. I would say pick one and go with it. This one's a little wider and this one's a little smaller, so I can kind of work in different colors, but one is not better than the other. This one covers more ground. It's a little faster. So whatever you like is what I would get. You need a basic acrylic paint. You can also use craft paints. Don't get too fussy about it because it's basically going on a paper. And unless you're trying to make fine art or you're trying to frame it for a gift or for some kind of art display, and even then you can use craft paint, I wouldn't get too crazy about what paint you use. I would focus more on the colors and what colors you'll actually enjoy looking at and use. And then next is what paper are you going to actually use for the substrate? What you're actually going to print on. So this is something I use a lot. It's deli paper, and it comes out pretty translucent when you make a jelly print. So you could see the pattern. I used a stencil for this one. It's just a basic pink print, and I know I'll use that. So that's deli paper. Then this is a rice paper, and it's kind of thin, but it holds a lot of moisture, and it's really great for using with acrylic paints on the jelly plate. Here's an example of a print on the rice paper. Has a little bit of an off-white color to it, but it really holds up very nicely with the acrylic paints. And then this is another option. It's just basic white craft paper. And it's very hardy, easy to use. This is an example. It really pops because it's bright white and anything you put on top, you can really see very clearly. And it has a nice consistency as well. So those are the three papers that I use. You could use whatever interests you or whatever you like. I've seen people use copy paper. I've seen people use sketch paper. It all depends on what you're going to use it for and just what interests you. So along with the other supplies you might want to get together, think about what kind of pattern you would like, if you like a pattern in your papers. Some people just like to do a full print one color and then they kind of collage it in, or they can also do a print, pull it off, and then they do another print on top of it. So jelly printing is all about experimenting. So I'm going to show you how to do just a basic print using a stencil. And from there, you can kind of experiment and do other things. You can use stamps, but one thing you have to keep in mind, the first thing that you put down on the plate is the first thing you will see on the paper when you print it. So it's kind of like you have to think about layers. And the most important thing is to let the paint dry in between the layers. A lot of times when people are doing jelly prints and you're watching videos on them, they don't show you that there is a time that the paint has to dry on the plate before applying the next layer, or else it's all going to run together and look like mud. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to just do one simple pull with this circle stencil. So I'm going to start with this teal color, not too much paint also. You don't want to get too heavy because then it takes a long time to dry. And you just gently cover the plate. The other thing you're going to do when you're done rolling the layer is I use copy paper, and you just want to clean your brayer. So you just roll it on some scrap paper, or you can use other paper so that it will serve as a collage paper later. It all depends on how efficient you are in your process. So I just roll it on some copy paper, and now we have our first layer of paint. So I'm going to put the stencil down, and then I'm going to use this paper. It's a piece of rice paper. I have a little design already on it, but I don't really like it. So I'm going to just pop that down, press down, give some pressure so that the stencil comes through. You can kind of see it through the paper now. It's just going to be a simple design. So there's one way of just doing a simple stencil pull. Now what you have left on the plate is another design. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry for about a minute. And in the meantime, I'm going to take this stencil and I'm going to put it on my copy paper and just clean it off, roll it with the brayer. So now that I've given it about a minute or two to dry, what I'm going to do is just add a second layer of color, not too much, do a little dollop, and again, spread it on the plate. So you want to pick up and put down for the first couple strokes, just to move it around the plate. Do a light layer, clean the brayer. And then I'm going to use craft paper for this one. So I'm just going to put it down, give it a good press, and then again, I'm going to leave it there. And this one I'm going to leave for a little bit longer because we have dried paint on the plate. So we want to have that next layer of that greenish yellow picking up the paint from underneath, and that takes a little bit longer. So you want to just kind of let it sit on the plate for, I would say, a couple minutes. Try like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so I waited about, I would say 3 minutes because I wanted to make sure all the paint was going to get on the paper. And what you can do is just peek a little and see if it's pulling up. See that little edge? You can see it's actually all coming up. So I'm just going to do the full pull. So it doesn't have to be very complicated to be interesting and fun. You just have to think ahead of the different colors that you want to use and the different designs that you want on the paper. Now, if you find you have quite a few papers with not a lot on them, you can always go back and reuse them. So I'm going to show you how to kind of add to layers you already have. We're just going to do a very simple dab of a light color, not a lot. And pick up, put down for the first couple pulls, and then you can kind of really get in there. So I'm doing a very light layer because I know I'm going to put it over this and I don't want to completely cover up the green, the teal green. So we're just going to put it down. And that offers another dimension to this piece. The teal green is muted a little bit, but it does have different colors and a different design. So you can see how there's so many ways to play with the jelly plate. I encourage you to just have fun with it. You can use stamps. If you dip these in some paint and just create a pattern, let it dry, and then do a whole different color on top, and you pull it, you'll see the pattern on top. It's kind of like using a stencil, but you're using stamps. There are so many ways to create prints. Don't get too attached to a certain way of doing it, because the more you experiment, the more fun it gets, and then you create some interesting designs of your own. So when you're done using your jelly plate, you might find that you have a little paint left over here. It's very easy to get that off. Some people don't even clean their jelly plates, they just leave it for the next session because it kind of creates some cool little designs. If you really don't like that, you can use baby wipes to wipe it off. You can also use other paint, just put a little layer of paint and do a pull and it will come right off. Or you could also use just clear packing tape. You just put it down where there's some paint and kind of really work it in and pull it right off and it comes clean. So you want to just store this back in the clamshell that it came in and it will be ready for your next session. So that is what I have for you today. I am so happy you were here. I hope this was helpful. And I'm putting two more videos right here for you that are helpful to just kind of watch doing some jelly prints. Because the more you learn, the more you see other people doing it, then you kind of understand your style and what you like to do for your jelly prints. So thanks for watching and hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.